client facing situation, every client loves to say that, they are understanding the UX design behind stuff, but all they are looking at the visual.
Welcome everyone to the second episode of Design to Dev, a Dualite exclusive podcast where we'll be talking to cutting edge experts and mentors in the field of design and development and getting you really cool insights about this exciting field. So today I have with me Anthony Fernandes, who has a half a decade experience in user experience based design and product design. He's graduated from DBIT, has worked with Next Edge Labs, and is now the head of user experience design at Yellow Slice, a premium design agency. Thank you so much, Anthony, for joining.
Hi, Rohan. This is amazing. I'm really happy to join you for this thing.
Great. So before starting out, I wanted to understand what kind of insights and things you are working on on this timeline. Like, what keeps you excited? What are something exciting or new you're working around these days?
Currently, we're just working on a couple of projects. Like, I think a new project that we've recently worked on is like an edtech platform. So it's not there isn't a lot that I can give away about it, but it's a really fun edtech platform and slightly different. It's not your regular, learning about IT, learning math, science, and stuff. The what we are teaching is something unique because, like, obviously, because of a non-disclosure, there's not much that I can tell you about it.
Yeah, I feel in high tech with the kind of things it has been a unique proposition is necessary.
Yeah. So see, ideally, see, there are two ways to look at it. One though is like the regular ed tech, like you have math, you teach math, science, or you teach languages, and you just teach it differently.
Okay.
Like for languages, that would be Duolingo. Like rather than teaching it like in a video format, they've made it really engaging. But obviously, that is one way of it. The other one is where we are teaching only something that normally is not taught on VR digital platforms. So we are opting for something like that. So there's a new product that we are working on. Not a lot that I can tell you about since the launch is like a month away.
Right.
So things need to be kept under wraps. But like stay, follow Yellow Slice. You guys will probably hear about it like in a month and a half or like somewhere mid of January.
And so I believe like edtech is a really interesting starting point for this conversation because you've seen that despite the so-called bubble and everything, edtech is still unfulfilled and unfinished. There are still so many kids out there, or there's still so many interesting opportunities in general around edtech that I feel needs to be explored. And I think a key part of the differentiating factor comes in the user experience and user experience design based on what ICP they are developing, what kind of a gamification tactic they are using. So what I feel is that edtech. Uh, what do you think about the traditional edtech design? For example, Allen or Resonance. Resonance, I think, is now obsolete, but Allen or other such coaching institutions, their apps and their philosophies, or even Fitzy to that matter, it's still pretty much the same. Or they've also applied some gamified techniques here and there, or they are also still pretty standard.
So yeah, I think regarding these players who, also offer the traditional way of learning, their approach, they sort of find it very difficult to stray away from that. Like you would find that these institutions, they teach offline. They will have like an offline coaching class, and then they will move the same thing to an online platform where what they do is that they just all they will change is they will take the videos, they'll shoot the videos of their classes and they'll just upload it online. And yes, to some extent that works. Like I can teach maths, I can just stand in front of a whiteboard and just draw out and teach maths, and it will work. It's not like it won't work. But I think to truly engage truly engage your users, you need to really step out of the way you teach offline and find a different way to teach. Like, so what these platforms normally do is that they integrate gamification in their traditional way of learning. Like they will just add, like, okay, they'll add streaks. Like I think streaks is one of the most overused gamification. Like everybody
It
is
started with Snapchat, I
yeah.
think,
And
right?
I won't say that, as a designer, I am anywhere far away from that. Even I have integrated streaks into everything. Because Snapchat did it, it worked. Some, what we say, some edtech platforms are doing it, it sort of works. So streaks has become like, if there's nothing that you can do, just put streaks. You call it gamification.
So even these Alan Fitji, they're also employing such kind of gamification tactics to into their products and apps, or you see that they are still fairly simple and functional only.
So, honestly, to be true, I've not explored these applications to a great depths where I can, I would like to openly go and criticize a product, because as a product designer, I think one thing that I stand by is, if I have not explored something, I will not try to give an opinion of it just for the sake of it. But what I would say is that a lot of these edtech platforms that I've seen, because as I said, we are currently working on one edtech application. Some of the edtech platforms that we've seen, this is what they do. They just integrate a couple of gamification factors. What, as an example, if you look at Duolingo, what set them apart is that they thought through the entire process of how they
The first mover, they were also one of the first
yeah,
movers.
was, and like they thought through the entire process, like how they did not have, like, we are used to teaching people on offline, so we are taking the same things we'll record, because I think language is also something where I can have a teacher on a video, and I can just I sit through the video and I learn how,
Right.
and
Traditional YouTube like way.
yeah, and that is honestly cheaper. Like, that would be much cheaper. I hire one teacher, I pay them some X amount to teach the entire course. And then I upload that and sell that to multiple people. But to build a product like what Duolingo is, that's a more expensive route. But long term, I think that has paid off for them. So, edtech, honestly, there is large scope for edtech. And I think as well, that is why many companies, like even Byju's, have poured so much of money.
Right.
So I think even with Byju's, the major mistake that happened is during COVID, they spent too much on marketing, and now they are
Yeah.
bearing the backlash of that. But I feel there is extreme scope for edtech, and I would also say that, it comes from, there are a lot of places where education can't reach, and the reason that education can't reach is because what we say, good teachers can't reach there. Like, if you have
Good education country. So
good education can't reach there, because the ones who have great knowledge that can help students who are in backward class localities, those teachers don't want to teach in those areas, because one, probably they don't want to deal with those kind of students, and two, they don't really get the kind of pay that they can get in a very good, because education pays like anything.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think if I
I remember, hearing rumors about some AIR1 from XYZ has now shifted to another ABC coaching. It was a horse trading
yeah,
kind of a
because those teachers, like, I think Kota and all those areas, those teachers have pull. If you're a good teacher, you'll mint money like anything.
Yeah, it was
Coaching classes especially.
what even Alak Pandey with Physics Fix Wala has done is they've created a community first. He's attracted so much pull. Even in like people like I don't remember the names, but UPSC and all of those, some teachers are so renowned and so much admired that it really creates a pull. So yeah, I think it's also about the brand value that they kind of bring into the picture.
Like, I feel it's about scale. Like, you reach a certain amount of scale, you'll see the payoff of it. The only point is, how do you convince users to switch from, because if you saw after the COVID wave brought a lot of, like, everyone was trying to go for edtech, everyone is ready to learn online. And people were of the assumption that now students are getting used to by, studying online. And it was compared to people got used to ordering online.
Oh,
Yeah, so it sort of gets compared, because see, people got used to ordering online, and now Zepto, Blinkit, these products have kicked off, versus people have gotten used to study offline. But the point was, when it comes to Zepto, Blinkit, there you had the convenience, and apart from the convenience, you had more products at your disposal than what your local kirana guy will have. Like, I don't think today in 20 minutes I can go anywhere around and pick up a PlayStation. I think for this podcast you picked up this.
yeah, I was about to come there. I used Zepto while I was driving, which is wrong. But I did that, and in 20-15 minutes, I got the tripod which we needed for this shoot. So the use case is real. So it's a very strange thing that people are comparing ordering and learning. I mean,
No, the people are not comparing. I feel probably the people who are running the show and who are building the product, they must have made such.
they have their biases around this.
Yeah, and what happened is that with education, honestly, to this date, if I can go and personally learn from somewhere, I
Yeah,
would prefer that.
absolutely.
So, what kind of convenience can you now bring is probably a lower cost, probably better education than what I can get in my local schools. Bring me that, then probably I can think about shifting. And even after that, it's like your education is happening on your phone, on your laptop. That brings distraction.
Right.
Your home might not be a good environment to learn in. So there are
I
not.
think it's the environment that should inculcate things should work in your brain rather than a visually aesthetic product or gamified product. Yeah, EdTech, I
Yeah.
think.
And even if you look at it from this point of view, learning a language, like I feel probably people who, are trying to learn very professionally, like a couple of my friends were planning to move to Germany.
Oh,
So, at that point they were learning German, and they even Duolingo existed at that time, but they still preferred going to a class, learning from a teacher,
yeah.
because they wanted to achieve that in a shorter span, and they felt that going offline with promise that, because I know I'm paying money, I need to go here. There's someone who's going to keep me accountable. Apps can't keep you accountable, and when it comes to education, someone needs to keep you accountable if you aren't capable of doing that.
Yeah, I think that is a very good line. Apps can't make you accountable because this is the same case as I think, exercise or fitness
Yeah.
or any kind of self disciplinary. You can have 100 apps of Nike or Adidas or anything else. Unless you get up, there's no point.
Believe me, I have tried, like, even when it comes to gym apps, like workout apps, I have tried, like, there are, and it looks, when I download the apps, I'm so motivated. Like, okay, it's telling me a full routine. I'm like, from tomorrow onwards, I'll follow this. But it's so difficult to maintain that, especially at home, because your bed is so close by. You can just lie down and not do it. You know that you can do eight reps instead of 15 reps.
Right.
No one is looking at you. But when you're in a gym, firstly, the environment is such that there are so many people who are also working out. You see them, you feel motivated, and plus then there is a trainer who every 5 seconds is hitting you on your arms so that you pick up more weights.
Yeah. Yeah, and coming back to our core points, that actually simplifies the point that any good design or even AI to a certain degree, which I was coming next, can't teach you that, can't give you that intent or ambition based drive to do all of these things. It can assist you, it can expedite you, but it can't truly do that. So that was what was coming to, like, you might have seen interesting products come up in Figma. There is this new AI based generation, or there are other Figma plugins around this of converting UI designs from a single prompt. But then still, I think Figma released their product early, and then it kind of blew apart. Yeah, and then they were like, okay, wait a minute, and they retracted that, and I think they've only allowed it for a few betas. So what do you think about AI and design and what because let's be honest, AI in aspects can't fully replace, but what do you think in terms of UI UX or product design, what it can achieve? Like, what do you think is actually achievable so that we've heard everywhere that AI won't replace you, AI will not do that, all these things, but the truth is there that it has replaced things, and it is just a comforting statement for people to say, so that people are not on the edge or on the face. So a better way to look at it is realistically that the glass is actually full, it is not half empty, it is actually half full, and you can only fill it to the 50%, or you can have multiple glasses. So I think a positive insight that I'll be requiring from you is, what do you think designers, the next generation of designers, should prepare for with AI coming into, what AI can do, or how they should use AI to actually do their jobs better?
Before I get to that portion of the question, what I would say is that there was something I'd heard somewhere. I don't remember who said it and when exactly did I hear it. There was something that I heard that, back in the day when sort of computers were coming in, even at that point, people started to have that feeling that, you're going to be replaced. Computers are going to take up your job, because the work that need to be done manually, all the data entry, and you had to take care of, all these forms and stuff like that, the manual backend office work, that sort of got digitized. The work of 10 people could have been done by one person. And people started to see a sort of situation where, okay, now our jobs are going to go. If one person can do the job of 10 people, then we are going to lose our jobs. And that's the same thing that that person said, that is what's going to happen with AI also. People are going to freak out. And okay, AI is coming in and AI is going to take up all of our jobs. But I think what happens is just that it frees up more time for you to do more thinking. Like I see AI as something that will help me to execute, help me to think in lines of stuff that I don't want to waste my time thinking. Like I'll give you honestly, as a designer, even I use AI. I think the most famous one, ChatGPT.
Right.
I've used that multiple times. Like I'm designing site maps. I'm trying to think of features. Now the you will think of every single thing, and it will take you like 2 days to come up with the entire feature list. And I've been there 3 years ago, back when ChatGPT hadn't come out yet. I have done that. I've sat and I've sat for 2 days thinking each and every feature. Now what I do simply is I give ChatGPT context. I give them a couple of features that I have thought of. I give them a direction. Okay, this is what I want, and then it generates a feature. Now what I need to do is try to use my brain and figure out what can be kept and what needs to be discarded.
Right.
So this reduces 2 days of work into like 2 hours or 3 hours of work. And that's where I keep AI. That is right now, as of now, it's a tool that will just help me achieve my goals faster, finish my projects faster, and probably a little more quality because in 2 days I will get tired, I'll have fatigue. AI is not having fatigue.
Right.
So the portion of the time when I'm actually very, I have a lot of.
Don't have bandwidth that much.
Yeah, so and I'm spending my time thinking, then I ideate ki, okay, what I've gotten from ChatGPT doesn't make sense. Do I need to scrap something? I have enough time to think.
What I think is, like you said, the computer thing also. Instead of being replaced, there'll be higher quality of jobs or tasks that need to be done, and the marginal effort will have higher impact.
Yeah.
Let's
So
put it that
I
way.
have like another take on it also. So if you look at it right now, the amount of products that are being designed, because as a timeline, there are certain X amount of products that can be designed. There are X amount of agencies. Now, when you look at it, when AI comes in, and like let's look at 2 years from now, even with talking about Dualite also, where once the future comes in, where we are actually able to build and develop products at a certain scale and speed. At that point, imagine that how many new products can we churn out, test, and discard in a matter of 3 months. Because right now it takes me like it would take us 3 months to design a full-fledged product. Then get that developed would take another 4 to 6 months. That's like, at least half a year to develop a product, at least a good, I wouldn't say an MVP. An MVP is still faster to develop, but a proper product to develop it and then test it only to realize this is not working, and then you've spent tens and 20 lakhs on that product. But if I get AI to do that, I'm testing faster, so that means more startups
Will fail.
will fail and also succeed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I feel even in terms of smartphones, we are penetrating into like tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities in India. That means more people are going to be, come across digital products. There will be more products built specifically for those people,
Right.
which need to be created and need to be created at a smaller budget, which will in turn make new jobs.
Very true. No, no, very interesting. This is the first time I'm hearing this. I think the iteration cycle or the idea to MVP cycle will be faster, and you will have. And my point being of startups being failing is basically it will be faster to iterate. You'll get the bad stuff out, and you'll only get more and more good stuff, and more flourishment is there.
So this thing about this, what we say, getting a tool that can design for you. So back in the day when like ChatGPT had just started, I was in this conversation with my ex boss. We'll design a tool that can sort of design and then eventually even develop the product for you. And we were very like we were just it was like a car conversation. So we were going from Mumbai to Pune. There was nothing to do, so it was a car conversation, and then we were just like, this is, and we had genuinely good ideas. It's just that neither of us were very clear on exactly when do we start with it, and we started with it, but then some certain things happened, and then we discarded the idea. But we were also planning to have something, and the thoughts that we had, ki, say for example, that day comes where what you design, what you can put in a prompt, and you get code ready. Forget design. Code ready. Imagine that you can have live changes on the application itself. Like your application can sort of adapt to each and every user to some extent. Not just, like right now they will have certain edge cases that if the user does this, you do this. If the user does this, you do that. But it can still not be truly personalized. It is personalized to a certain extent to what it has been designed. The app can't be truly personalized where it is moving things around exactly as per what you want it to be.
That will be a
So
very,
it's a
very
very far-fetched,
better.
very far-fetched thought. But that's probably also where AI might help us reach, where our products are truly adaptable.
Yeah, I was also thinking on like not on that same. That's a very interesting thought, by the way. Like instead of us, like in Apple, you have that widget feature where you manage your own home screens in a way, or in Android also. But eventually, based on the usage only, we don't have to arrange also. It'll automatically come. So I was having this conversation with some expert only in Meta. So they were also telling me that the future of content is also personalized. For example, I'm sharing your reel, which is funny to me,
Hmm.
that you are relatable to. So for example, instead of always sharing, those faces kind of come on the reel itself, or it becomes so much personalized. Nowadays, so if I have a friend like Ayush, who I am sharing many reels to, you'll see that even in the reels, the name Ayush or something on the round joke of Ayush keeps on coming, which is what I've experienced. So that is just like a very basic level of personalization, but you can see that if there's a joke around the name Ayush and I find it funny, I'll immediately share it to my friend. So yeah, I think that is a very valid point on how this is gonna be, and the more the personalizability, I think the more engagement it will be, obviously. So, like, do you feel that then there'll be a time where every product eventually, like I'm not talking the next 5 years, probably next 20 years, every digital product, at least the standard bunch of it, will be to a certain extent personalized to how we want. For example, our iPhone screens or WhatsApp or some social media content. It'll be personalized that we don't even need to see somewhere on like if you're having ramen and you want to see something, you search for it. So you feel that because what Reel or TikTok has done eventually is build that algorithm that you don't need to search also anywhere. You will find relevant content at your at a fingertip. So you feel that eventually we'll be moving to much closer to that too.
So, with the example that you gave when it comes to Raymond and all, I think that sort of comes in from your. It's a more. I wouldn't call. I don't think ecosystem is the right word to use, but it's how the whole system works. Is that you're searching somewhere XYZ positions, and that's why you're seeing here now. What you are saying, what you're thinking of, that Raymond is already showing that and has that. It depends on how well they understand you. They can do that honestly today also,
Right.
but it just depends on where are they tracking you, which like if the Google is sending a data in terms of this is what was searched for, and then I fetch that same kind of a product and show it to you. I think that is sort of possible today also. The way I was looking at personalization of a product and design was primarily the UI, the interface, to to sort of personalize it for each user in a certain way that it leads to conversion. Like say for example, many of the we know that like let me try to build an example for you. So I know that when I have user A, and when this person is looking at products, okay, this person sort of always needs to understand features. He's very like, say for example, user A looks for a phone and user B looks for a phone. User A is very technically proficient. They know what kind of processors and internal elements that the phone has. So they will check it very clearly. They need to see specifications.
Yeah.
So the app will sort of change the UI in such a way that the specifications are explained in a very elaborate manner, and they are given priority in the page. ठीक है? Versus user B who does not understand this. They normally go as per, okay, what are other people saying? Is
What
this
is the referral?
what kind of ratings have we received? What are the key things that people have mentioned? So their UI might probably have ratings and reviews a little higher, where they are getting to see more about highlights of what people are saying, what is the general consensus of what people are saying. So that's how I'm looking at it. Ki the app will understand what is important.
Kind of a subtext of the design becomes personalized.
Yes. Because right now, what is required is that, there's one team who is sitting and analyzing how users are interacting with the product. Then they will curate that information. Then they will pass it on to the product manager. Then that product manager will try to understand, okay, this is the step that we need to take. Then they will pass it on to the designer, and then the designer will make it based on their interpretation. And it has to be done like this right now because each party has X amount of time in a day and they can handle a certain task only. So if I tell the designer to sit and analyze what data am I getting, to a certain extent they might be able to do it, but that will make the design cycle slower.
Right.
Now if I have AI doing that, where they are analyzing how the user behaves and we build certain parameters, ki this is how you analyze. Okay, and then you suggest design changes, you make those design changes, develop it and put it live and test it with that user or probably 15 or 100 users like that and see the conversion rate now.
So basically, what you're telling me is two things. I think what it's very interesting. Continuously A/B testing that the AI does, and I think what you also meant is that we'll just give them, we'll just build components or build blocks or build information, or we'll just pass on information and then we leave it to AI to organize it based on the profile.
Yeah, based on the profile, you just move things around, you see what works for them better. Right now, what we would currently have is that we already have 3 to 4 different types of designs. And in A/B testing, we just see what works and then finally what we arrive at, ki, okay, this is working. Yeah, that we will make the final design. Yeah, based on these are the user group that we give design A because this works best for them. This is user group B.
B.
We'll give them the second design because that works for them. We work like that. But if AI is able to make the UI very personalized to each person, कि this person requires this, so इनका the UI will be exactly this way.
Yeah, I think that will be massive for, I think, e-commerce or any buying based community or D2C in general.
Even marketing websites for that matter. Na? Like, say for example, if what we say, you need
A landing page.
landing pages. Landing page may also they just test multiple types of landing pages and see what works. But if a certain obviously this with marketing websites and landing pages, you require context about the user in advance. With products, you will always have context because they are continuously using the product. You know what kind of behavior do they have on your product. But when it comes to marketing websites and landing page, you need to figure out how to get context from outside, how to get context from products like Google and stuff. They give you information and then you rearrange stuff.
What your suggestion is, I think these will be the disrupting points for any new, I think, new entries for all these players. We think e-commerce, Amazon has it all covered, or we think social media, Instagram has it all covered. But the scale at which they operate, I think this kind of a fundamental change will be very difficult for them in terms of the technical debt and the technical architecture that needs to be revamped. And like what Facebook was and how Instagram came in or TikTok came in, I think this will be the next step, wherein everything around whatever you see is based on your preference and your styles, and yeah, that will be.
And another thing, if I tell you, like this is my personal opinion, like from based upon whatever I've seen is not like the truth.
Yeah.
But what I have seen is that right now, in terms of AI, people are heavily focusing on design. Like everybody wants to build an AI design tool that can put in a prompt and it will design. But I feel, at least I have not seen or come across much AI that is done to solve research as much. Like, in terms of whatever am I analyzing, I
Your
think
mood boarding or other.
not mood boarding and all of that. I think, as I said, with the cycle where AI sort of sees the product and understands how users are behaving and then gives actionable insights. I feel that is sort of not yet people. There isn't much focus on that. It's not very glamorous.
Yeah.
Research portion is not very glamorous. Like when you say I have a design tool that can sort of,
Not fascinating enough.
it's very fascinating. Design tool is very fascinating.
Yeah, but your problem statement is boring, but it is very important.
Very important, because then if I have a research tool which is AI based and it gives me actionable insights, ki this is working, this is not working. Imagine the amount of time it actually saves, because now your designer knows exactly what they need to do. They just need to execute it, and for that also you have 10 other design tools that can build the framework for it.
Right, right.
So that portion I feel is sort of, at least as much tools that I have been exposed to, I feel that it's a little not paid attention at, and if that is paid attention to, product life cycle, product cycles will also get better, because you have very good actionable insights. Ki this is what needs to be done.
Right. Right. So if any aspiring startup founders are listening to this podcast, I'll say, research around this, because this is something that is still very much open to. I have seen tools, but I think you're right, because they're also just like, UX copywriting and all. They're not proper critical thinking UX research.
I think somewhere recently, someone had shared something on LinkedIn where they had built somewhat of an research tool, but I think it was more in lines of accumulating all of the research, like interviews. So there are tools where you can put up your interviews, and then they will highlight what is important, what is not important. But I've still not come across something which tracks, like tools like what we say, Microsoft Clarity and Hotjar analysis. They track and they will give you a data that this is where the users are looking at, this is what they are not looking at. The problem with research is now that interpreting that is the bigger issue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will get a heat map which says this is where the users are, but then you need somebody very smart in the room to understand what to make out of that. Ki, okay, people are looking at that, so what does that mean? Is it really absurd? Is it an absurd design? That's why people are looking at it.
Or is something else completely.
Or it is eye catchy and people are really drawn to it. What is it? You can't know. Maybe it's the stupidest thing. They are like, why is this image over here? It doesn't make sense. So so that's why what to interpret out of it, for that we require something like AI which has context. Ki, okay, this is a certain type of a, like this is a website of a car. So why is there an image of a bike? People are confused. That's why they're stuck over here.
Right. No, no, I understand you. And I think uh, we have also, like, when we are building Dualite or iterating over our product, we also sometimes don't understand why people are doing this. And sometimes we have to remove things just to make things more clearer. So I think that is also, I think, that is one thing that is there. But what you are referring to is AGI, or what they call as artificial general intelligence, wherein so what I think you're speaking is actual rational critical thinking skill, which I think still the current models or AI is not there.
Definitely, I wouldn't say that, it is achievable today.
Yeah.
But and I think there would be large companies who are
Working on
and
it.
I
Yeah, I
think
think
that I am the first person to think of it.
I was told by a friend. So there's this account called Jimmy Apples on Twitter. So he's like a open AI insider. His rumor sort of is that GPT-5 has already achieved that, and they're not releasing it due to very specific reasons, or they're giving it to very top level people. I don't know. It might be something outlandish, but yeah, if I think AGI kind of is there, then uh, it will be mad. But then what we were discussing previously, if that bit also gets solved, then what are you left to do as an employee?
Which is a good question, and probably
The most important question.
yeah. I think then you are left to do to come up with new product ideas. Yeah. Honestly, I don't have an answer to that, and because I also see that as something that will take a bit of time to achieve, where you have like AI is doing everything. Then you've seen the 5-star ad, right? You just sit, have fun,
Yeah.
and just click approve. That's what you do, and probably that's what you get paid for.
Yes, yes. Well, I think I might be wrong here. I think we will achieve AGI, but the kind of layering that every dimension of knowledge has. For example, you very let's take manufacturing. Manufacturing versus product design, two very different fields. I think that it will be very tough for an AGI to understand both those things, right? What I think it will be possible to do, I think in the early years, I don't know how things can go, but AGI can only be achieved for a subset of tasks or subset of areas. Like if you see the trajectory of ChatGPT also, the most penetration it has happened around is everyday copywriting use case, email drafts, LinkedIn posts, some circular. My one of my friends, he runs an AI ChatGPT based workshops. So he was in Aurangabad. He has a school connection there. So he was literally teaching preschool kids, teachers, AI to write an annual function script, which was spectacular. Like you don't. So I think that's where the most penetration has happened, and I think that will also be the place most penetration will happen in the future, because the context of the database is so huge in the simple plain and understanding of English.
Yeah, I think yeah, copywriting, idea generation, all of that. See, first of all, like before I get to that thing, there was something just in my head that I will say a little philosophical with regards to the questions regarding what will we do and what will people do after that. I have something very simple, and it's like since mankind has come, they have been solving some problems, which in turn create new problems, which mankind tries to solve again, which in turns create more problems. Like you had the issue of having to walk around from one place to another. You reached from one iteration to another iteration, eventually come into a car, which is now polluting the earth. And now you're after solving that. So you solve a problem and you create another one, and then you try to solve that, and that's where your next job is.
Right.
So you just keep an eye out for what is the next problem that's coming up, and you'll have a job. Yeah, not everyone who has a job today will have a job 10 years from now. It's just how well you are evolving. If you're evolving as per times and you're ready to move to the next thing, you're rest assured that you will have a job. There will be jobs, just there will be different jobs.
Yeah, I think that is very, very interestingly said. I don't know if you're a designer or a philosopher now, based on the conversation we are having. But yeah, I think that is a very interesting way to
And
look at it.
coming to the actual query, actual question that you were asking. So when it comes to stuff like AI, the major issue is prompting.
Right.
Like because ChatGPT does not have restrictions in what you can prompt, it is difficult for the common man to find their way around it. Like I had a whole session in my what we say in my organization for my team to explain them to prompt and how to how to like all the steps that we have in UX design, how to use ChatGPT in each and every step, like from feature listing, task flows, yeah, like even like wireframe design. Obviously, you can't. There are certain tools in within ChatGPT that can help you get designs, but so not exactly the kind of wireframe designs that you want. But I can get ideas for sections in a screen. Like I'm designing a home page for a certain website. What sections do I use? It gives you certain ideas. What information can I add in those sections to achieve this goal? It will give you ideas. Then all you need to do is convert that into boxes and then further detail it out. So it is possible to use ChatGPT at various stages of design, but yeah, the final visual design, for that you require currently you can get inspiration from Midjourney and all the other image development tools, but at the end of the day, you need a designer to manually do that.
Right.
But the problem with AI is that prompting, that is very difficult for the general public. So that's why it gets used only for copy, maximum idea generation and stuff, because you need certain restrictions when it comes to AI. Ki here you input this, here you input this.
Yeah,
This is the output that you
I was doing these prompting things yesterday only. So my co-founder Prakhar was talking about how to create a system prompt that, hey, I am, if I'm talking about financial compliance, hey, I am Finex, a financial compliance
Yeah.
officer. Do this, do that. These are your functions. Do not hallucinate. If you do not know the answer from this particular PDF, say no, I do not know. So I think it's like a child. Yes,
Yes.
it's like a very super knowledgeable child.
Even in ChatGPT, if you see, not a lot of people use different chats for different functions. That is also something like very basic that I've learned from YouTube, that use different chats for different functions where each chat has separate context, separate instructions.
Right.
So one chat works as a copywriter, one chat works as an event planner for me. And then I have three, like one,
Yeah, the entire memory thing that they've done.
and then they just have the memory of that chat, and then they know what I want. They've learned what I want to do. Rather than using it as a general where anything and everything you ask in one place, it doesn't get to properly learn and it doesn't follow said instructions.
And that's how you can also avoid hallucination, all those problems, if you give it a good context.
But I think honestly, the real things that you want is where, you have certain amount of input fields which say ki here, like if you say a logo design AI tool, there they will have ki, okay, tell me the name of the company, give me which industry they are in. They'll give you certain drop downs from where you can select, and then they'll give you an input. So it's a very, narrow, like you just have certain types of responses that you'll receive, and then you have to generate something. So you'll not get something random, you'll still get something relevant, and it's easy for the general public to use. Versus if you try to get a logo generated on ChatGPT or Midjourney, there you have to be good at prompting.
Yeah, what all these AI companies have done is just become like whatever the controversy of that term is, rapper. So they're more or less a rapper, which actually gives a very good prompt. So I was reading somewhere that a very good company around our space. So their prompts got leaked, and eventually it was just a 2000 line prompt, which I give credit to, but it is still a prompt. You can build out of it, and it was supposedly the next big thing. I mean, I guess it still is, uh, but yeah, but then what also concerns me is the concentration that is happening of these Claude and OpenAIs of being in very handful people. Meta is saying that they are building open source. That is also true to a certain extent, but still it is more or less controlled, and it's not free. It's not, you it's still like the concentration of knowledge and the data that these guys are accumulating every day. It is so crazy to think about, the kind of layers of privacy. Even if you say, if they haven't breached, but they have in a way breached. You can't have something build better without any insight, and you have to have that. So I don't know, that is also a little concerning to me, because uh, like the dystopian features or things that we talked about, I think based on that, only these people will have the database and the knowledge, because now, so we are in a digital age, you and I, right? We're young folks. So every interaction that we do, for example, I've come from Bandra, you've come from somewhere, there is an Uber for that has tracked you, or there is some Google Maps which is tracking you, and all of that data is compiling and compiling and compiling. And now, since these things are so much concentrated, it is definitely a concern for the general public. And whether you like it or not, I think privacy is a myth, so to say.
I'm waiting when you get to that. Yeah, waiting when you get to that. But yeah, like honestly, they have to get something out of it, right? Like at this moment, if you look at a tool like ChatGPT, we are so happily using such a powerful tool for free.
Right.
Imagine you're not paying a single penny. Like they do have a premium version for it, for which they'll give you free extra features and stuff. But imagine you're still using such a powerful tool that they are currently having on their servers, which they pay for. But we are not paying a single rupee for it. They are going to take something. And so there's this one designer of a friend of mine who had once said this. I don't know if she's heard this from somewhere else, but this is what she had told is that if you're not paying for the product,
You are the product. Yeah, I was about to come there. That's a Netflix documentary, the social network effect or something like that.
it's just that that's the case now. Now you're not paying for ChatGPT, so somehow they have to get their
Leverage
data.
that.
Now
Yeah.
that probably that's what their company's worth is about. They have so much amount of data and obviously a great tool.
Right, right. So moving beyond, AI and the future, whether it's dystopian, utopian, however you want to call it, let's talk a bit more about, what you think, like few critical skills or few critical knowledge that an aspiring designer should have to stay relevant in this industry and to also flourish.
Okay.
Because I mentioned this in the earlier podcast also, that I have worked with a lot of designers, but they might not be very good at the tool, but they're very good at designing. It's not the tool, it's the skill.
So I have a little bit of a controversial take on that statement, honestly. So, and I've heard a lot of designers, who say that, it's not about the tool, it's about knowing how to design stuff. And yes, I agree to that. At the end of the day, design is not something that, Figma, design, and design, Figma. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I would say that that cannot be a reason for you to, say, I'm not learning the tool because I know how to design and Figma doesn't make me a designer. So you can't be lazy on that.
Fair.
Because if there is a certain tool that the industry is currently using, you should know how to use that.
Right.
And I will stand by that no matter whichever designer comes and tells me, you don't need to know Figma to be a designer. If there's a certain tool that helps you design and that's something that's used in the industry, you need to know that because I feel like I've seen a lot of people who waste precious design hours just doing simple tasks like I don't know, I'll be very this probably you might not understand, and the designers who are watching this video will understand is that uh, I'd have designers who have great potential, have great ideas, but when it comes to executing that, they sort of fail on Figma. Okay, they will not be able to design it well. They will spend a task that can be done in 1 hour, they will take 1 or 2 days to do because they are not good at using the tool. And now what this does is two things probably that I can point out is one, you're wasting a lot of time.
Right.
Okay, the time to deliver is very high. At the end of the day, you have to deliver a Figma file. Second thing is now that especially if you're in a client facing situation
Right.
and not a product company. In a product company, I think it's still fine. There, everyone is one team and they are sort of trying to just build and they will give you uh, a leeway. कि ठीक है, your design doesn't look good, but your idea makes sense. But when you're in a client facing situation, most of the clients are like, shop people who are gone shopping in a mall. They will pick up the product that looks good. They will not, at least I would say 80% of them are not going to be like, I understand the UX design behind this. Every client loves to say that, they are understanding the UX design behind stuff, but all they are looking at the visuals. Ki, okay, this doesn't look good. The rounding on the button is not that good. So while you be a good designer, and I feel that is 80%, but don't, use that as an excuse to not learn the tool that is relevant.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That is a very realistic and practical point that you mentioned that. Yeah, I think that is also very true. I might have not experienced it, but we have such creative minds and artistic people, but they're not able to comply to those standards, and that's what we have also seen in our user behavior in a way. For example, Figma has an auto layouting solution where they allow people to create responsive designs, but they've created such beautiful designs, but then they don't know how to use Figma level above to create those responsive designs, and then they expect the developer or us as an automation product to deliver that, and that is ludicrous because if you will not tell us how to do certain things in a way, it is not possible for us to understand that. So that is also somewhere where we are also thinking around. I think I mentioned you beyond this podcast also that we feel that there's a Figma dependency in general around what we do, and so our hypothesis is around designers and developers role merging into one in enterprise based UIs, where we've seen that Figma, even though they've launched very interesting products and features, they're still not quite there to be usable or to be flawless in a way. So that is what we're also working around in terms of uh, the convergence between designer and developer in these dashboards and forms. But I think that is very true. When we sort of onboarded an enterprise 3 months or 4 months back, uh, we used to have so many 1:1 sessions just teaching them Figma, that you have to design it in a particular way, you have to do this in a particular way. And believe it or not, despite our product, if you use Figma well, which is also tough. I'm not saying that it is not that it is easy. But if you have a very good designer, so that really speeds up the development process. A developer can see so much through that, through a good design, through good structural design, let me put it that way, that it really is beautiful.
Yeah. What I would say is with regards to I feel that when you took those one-on-ones with the designers over there, you must have gotten a lot of hate. But I think one thing that designers hate the most is when developers come and tell them how they should design.
Yeah, and that must have been there. That is why we have been churning off.
Yeah, but and you know what I would say is that I feel that where you guys are going at makes a lot of sense when it comes to the convergence of a designer and a developer. So I think one of the things that I've been struggling with the most is that sometimes I have really nice product ideas. During the initial days of when I was working on like self projects as well, they were really fun product ideas that I wanted to bring to life, but I could only design. I do not have any developer friends at the time that I could develop that. And if I have to pay someone to code it, it was like too expensive that I didn't want to pay. And I'm like, okay. And I've honestly never been like a business guy who wants to start my own business. I want to be a product. I want to be a product designer. I want to build stuff, but I don't want to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. So if a tool like that were to exist, which and I would say if while you guys are going at it also, since Figma as a tool has penetrated so much into designers, where now how that works is how they like to design. Somewhere or the other, you have to keep that familiarity with.
Yeah, Figma is the bread and butter for designers. So even if you're migrating them to separate product, the seamlessness, the familiarity needs to be there. Otherwise, they'll turn off like in an
Yeah,
instant.
the familiarity needs to be there, and like ideally with you know people, it's like you need to test it out, see if it brings any kind of value. Like if in terms of value also, if you're as soon as I design it on your tool, if the code is ready right there, that I have a front end code, as soon as the design is done, that for me would save like 4 to 6 days or probably more. You have that ready, and I just pass that on. Hey, it's done. Your front end is done now. I just need to go and make the back end. So that, in my opinion, is a good place to be at, where you're bringing the value, but then you have the familiarity of Figma that people don't have to scratch their heads on how to use this.
Yeah.
Because one, like I've also tried a lot of no code platforms. Like currently, I'm exploring Framer.
Oh,
So with that also, I'm currently facing a lot of things because they have kept quite a few elements very familiar to Figma and changed a few. So I'm able to explore it, but then I'm still having my fair share of struggles as well.
right.
So, but I think they've made a good balance. Like there will be some cuts that.
Yeah, Framer as a product is really good. It's like Figma plus Webflow. The convergence of both of those products for landing pages. Framer has done really. I also tried Framer for a portfolio thing. It was really nice.
Yeah, but it's like the freedom that you feel on Figma while you're designing. You draw a square, you draw a circle anywhere, and just leave it.
Yeah.
That is something that you don't have in Framer, and I think that is something that if you guys are opting for, is something you solve. How do you give the user designer the feeling of the same freedom? Ki, I design an element, and then there are not too many constraints that are stopping me to, don't put this here, don't put this here. Because Framer gives you that kind of a feeling, like you have to keep it.
Yeah, the freedom that Figma has. So I don't know if you know it already. Figma is on Figma slides, right?
Yeah.
Because people have now started designing their presentations. We've also designed our decks on Figma, and the freedom that there is, it is phenomenal. It is beautiful. It is like water.
Figma, I think, has had a great product strategy from like the start itself, and I think the way they penetrated them. I think when I started my career, Figma, I don't think it was new. It had entered the market and was the next gen tool, considered as the next gen tool.
InVision used to be there.
Yeah, and back then Adobe XD was still relevant. People used to use it. But it was like, hey, XD, you need to have a premium license and only then you can use it. So as a new designer, I didn't have, actually I had the money, I just didn't want to spend the money. So Figma was the best go-to solution. And when I learned about all the features and the level at which they churn out updates, like you think of a problem and 2 weeks or 2 months later it's solved. And I don't know how they get that feedback. And it just sometimes I just feel like they are literally, when I'm talking, they are listening to me. Because some of the problems that I've just said, and I've just said it to myself.
Yeah, you've told me about this.
Yeah, and they just solve it. And then they came up and did FigJam, and then they did Figma slides. And literally now, and I'll tell you, this is in my company, our business team who brings in clients, they design their pitch decks on a different tool. I have literally now put in a word to, move all of your pitch decks to Figma. So everything
Is on Figma.
is on Figma. And I just realized what a trap I'm getting into. Because now, in the future, no matter what they increase their prices to,
We have to
my
agree.
company has to pay. Because we are now in this trap that my business team is also on Figma. The design team is also on Figma. Now they have released dev mode, for which I have to get my development team members also on Figma. So imagine, like, people who are linked to Figma but not actual users,
They are also now
make them user and earn money from them also.
Yeah, Figma, I think, has done phenomenally. Like you said, the product is absolutely. So that's how you win the market, right? Like the product like Figma, Notion, Chat GPT, it's probably an outlier, but great products. Like even I wanted to talk about Arc also, right? Arc is also doing so well, and it's a simple. The idea itself is so simple, but you see the execution that they've put in. It's
I
phenomenal.
think you told me about ARC when we met.
Yeah, I think we
No, I think
the conference.
yeah, that the speaker, he told us about ARC, and I tried it a week from then, and I'm like spreading the word of mouth myself. I'm literally telling every designer in my team to switch to ARC. Obviously, I feel I've still not found that it's penetrated to a lot of people. In spite of me putting in a word, they are sort of finding things complicated. Because what I'll tell you with ARC now, what is the major issue that I feel why people are not really opting for it is that till you don't set it up, take the effort to set up multiple scenes and stuff and multiple folders, you will not see the benefit of it. Okay. But once you do that, you will not switch away. Because what argument I get from people is that, they are like, "Ki Chrome also has this tabs. I can add group things together in tab." But it's so pathetic on top. There are like, when you have 30 tabs on Chrome, it just is so difficult to read what's written. You just see this, and then how do you click on that? The click area is so small. How do you do that? But with Arc, it's so beautifully arranged. I can just close the sidebar when I want to focus on just the content. It's everything is done so, and they are churning out updates every 2 days.
I've been using Arc more on the phone also, actually, rather than on the system. My problem is also the same that you're telling. I don't know if it's also already possible in Arc. I think it should be. I just feel that Chrome has that search wala thing. Na? For example, I don't know what page it was, but I know the title or somewhere the keyword. So does it have that or doesn't?
I think with Arc also, I've seen that if I start typing, it probably gives me whatever.
For example, I have a sheet called Anthony Podcast Questions, and I don't know how to go. A simple way would be Sheets. Go to Google Sheets and click on Anthony Podcast Sheets. But in Google Chrome, I can type Anthony Podcast or just type in Anthony. I can get one of those results. So is it possible in that?
In Arc, what happens is that if you have previously opened it, then it will sort of try to get that link in your free as a suggestion. I think that's the extent that it goes to. It doesn't have the feature where you will just randomly type some of the keywords and it will get you that. But I've never come across that issue. Like, as I'm saying, it's just the setup bit that I've seen. Obviously, I think if that is the situation, there might be some key features that Chrome offers or other browsers offer that.
I haven't actually invested that much time, honestly, into seeing how to migrate and all. I just, I'll tell you one more problem. So Chrome had this a while back. I don't know what. So I still have this problem. So I have two profiles. I have my own business profile and I have a personal profile. And now so many things are in so many places. Now I don't want to switch. The Chrome has the tabs profile, wala na, that every color has every profile like Rohan at Dualite.dev will have a different profile, like a different colored section will come, and my actual Singhvi Rohan 01 that will come on a different section. But the problem is that because Rohan 01 is the most used, so I have the most typable searchable data on that. So if I switch to a new profile or a new tab and I delete that or I turn off the sync, so as they say, then all of that data, which is very important for me to get from A to B, just type in that Anthony podcasting, like I mentioned, that is all gone. So that has been one problem that I have been facing a lot. So every time I want to join a business stand-up call, I have to literally switch from Singhvi Rohan 01 to Rohan at Dualite, and then join that, because I can't switch to a new profile. I don't know if they're already working on this or they have had working, but I really like the phone Arc browser on iOS that they have done.
Yeah.
That has been great.
So I think the way it would work is that it would be the same as, because what we say, at the end of the day, it's opening up calendars. So the way you switch on calendars, you have to switch from one profile to another to access the next calendar. It will work like that only for you. And if you open up calendar with your first email ID and then another calendar with your second email ID, it just saves it like that.
Okay.
So the way, honestly, I use it is that I just have 3 different scenes. So in scene number 1, I have all my work related docker.
Yeah, that is how I think Arc solves that.
Yeah.
I don't need to.
And then I just switch to the scene number 2 where I have learning related content. And if I have logged into that link with my second email ID, it opens up from my second email ID only, because I have like 5 email IDs on my system right now.
And apart work, what keeps you busy? What do you do beyond
So
work? Or
as of now, apart from work, till now, there wasn't really much that I was doing. Right now, there's something that's going on cooking for me. It's not like I think it's not something that someone would expect from a product designer, honestly.
the you give it in a bento box, the plates.
So yeah, so currently with a couple of my friends, I'm actually working on hosting events.
Oh,
Yeah, so we are starting this. I think on the 15th of December, our Instagram account should go live. We are starting this small community called as Let's Mingle.
let's mingle.
Yeah, so we are planning to host events like, singles mixers, meetups for people, where the idea is very simple, honestly, is that we want people who don't have much to do on weekends or maybe not a lot of friends to find a space where they can come, meet new people, make new friends, probably date people.
Bangalore has something like that. I have.
Bangalore and Mumbai also has. There are competitors in Mumbai also, which we have an.
What is your differentiator?
Yeah, so our differentiator, honestly, I wouldn't take the name of the competitor because I feel that would be wrong on my behalf. But I've attended one event of this competitor, and they are very low on effort. Like right now, and especially this was with the I had attended a blind dating event, and it was honestly very low effort. That it was just a cash grab opportunity where they just mint money out of desperate boys because they don't even charge the girls, and it's just a way for them to mint money from desperate boys. And we honestly, the 4 of us between whom we are doing this, each of us have good jobs and we are earning. We don't really want to do this for the money right now.
For the benefit of single boys. That is the user first. So
Yeah, of single people, and there doesn't necessarily need to be just single mixers and speed dating events. Like in the future, we just want a place where people can come hang out. We have events where, probably film buffs come together and they discuss movies.
right.
Any kind of activities like that, where just we bring people together. The point is that we want to do it with genuine heart. Obviously, we want to earn money. I am not going to be that person who's saying, ki, nahi, I don't want money. I just want to do for good. NGO. I'm not running an NGO. Yeah, I want to earn money, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure that if someone is paying me money, they are getting a certain value out of it. I don't want to be low effort on providing that value. And as a product designer, I feel ki I will iterate and figure out how to provide that value.
Yeah, that
Somehow.
goes.
Yeah. But that's keeping me busy, man. Like I'm genuinely super excited. Like
No, I'll definitely come for the mixer. Rose, you are single? Let's not go into that. But yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting space. I've attended one board game kind of thing in Bangalore, and that has been interesting for me to at least talk to. It's not even about dating or not dating. It's just talking to people and actually socializing. People have so much energy and things to talk about that they never can talk because they don't have friends in outside cities. For example, I keep hopping between Delhi, Bangalore, Bombay, but because of that travel and I don't have one place to stay, so this can be an interesting space for me to at least talk to people and have fun.
On Yeah, and I agree with that. And the thing is now that I feel as we are moving forward, our generation is getting lonelier and lonelier
Yeah.
at time because we are stuck, we are glued to our phones. We have, I feel when it comes to social media, Instagram and other apps like this have increased our expectations out of another human being to such a level. You require your friend to be there always, pick up your calls all the time. You require your boyfriends and girlfriends to function a certain way, that they should not have a single thing that you can complain about. They should get you flowers. They should, always be in a great mood and talk to you.
Yeah, yeah, the expectations are too much.
And that is the reason why the relationships are breaking, because influencers, on the other hand, are just showing you highlights of their relationship where things are good, where they are going on a vacation, when they are going on a beautiful date, and then you are expecting that your partner will do the same thing. And I say partner not to, pinpoint any one gender, because I feel it's going on both ways. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
male and female have certain expectations from their partners that are just coming out of what they see on social media. And I've been there too. And I feel like even I am victim to that, or can be blamed of being that kind of a partner, where you just look at something on Instagram and you're like, yeah, we should also have something like this. Even I want, and we are just destined to be doomed like this. So a community like this and more community like this are needed to bring people together, get them away from their phones and just talking, have a genuine conversation. Because dating apps suck.
Yeah, dating apps and all are crap. And honestly, I think, yeah, I think I saw this concept of Thursdays. I don't know if you know that in America. So what they do is you sign up. It's like a physical plus digital product or experience where you sign on their product, and then they call the relevant people who have similar interest on a particular locations.
Oh,
So every Thursday, it's a bar, it's a pub, whatever it is, and then they just let them be, and then they probably do small intro or small thing, but then they let the actual thing happen physically, but they let the interests align or coincide most. That is something I think you can look at. It's called
yeah.
Thursdays, like I said.
Nice idea.
Yeah, 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 I think it's fun. And so yeah, last one of the last few points I want to talk rapidly is if there was one thing that in design you wanted to start off with uh, from the first day, what would it be? Like, what was that one thing that you probably figured out later in life, that in the design aspect, that if you would have figured out earlier, you would be faster?
Probably not one thing. Let me share as many things as come to mind right now. One first thing that I would like to share with young designers is that uh, you have a large product idea, you have a massive product idea. You don't need to build everything today or everything in the first build. Okay, this is something, the concept of an MVP was something that was alien to me a couple of years ago. And when I came across it, it now makes a lot of sense that you really need to, build a small concept that can be tested and can give you like, okay, this works. There is a demand, rather than, building something for a year and a half, and then figuring out that, this does not work, and I've wasted lakhs of rupees in this, probably your own or an investor's. Like, I think even for Dualite, I would say that the approach that you guys took was really nice. Like, you guys built a Figma plugin, which was probably would have not cost you a fortune.
Right.
You got the test, and I think for an MVP product, it worked well back then. Like, I think recently I've not gotten the chance to use it, but back then when I used it a few months ago, it worked well, and I think it was a good product for you to give me a proof of concept that, this concept works. And now you would have investors who can be brought on board and, fund a larger vision.
Right. You have to show validation and you have to show early wins. And yeah, I think that is very true.
Second thing that I would give, probably something that I would have to know when I was starting off, and probably as advice to designers. I know that people assume that designers can stay in their bubble and stay in their zone and just work. But if you really want to excel apart from being a good designer, you really need to be a people person. Because you may assume that you can sit in your cubicle and design, and then you will get appreciation, and your ideas will get be taken. But the way the world works is that if you can communicate your design to a stakeholder, to the developer, then is when your design gets approved. And secondly, it's also somewhere, it should not be the case, but you need to befriend the person who is going to develop your product. Like if you are not like if I am constantly in fighting with my developer, even if I go with an idea which is doable but he currently hasn't explored how to do it, he'll not even bother.
You have that bias.
Yeah, they'll just be like, this is not possible, and I don't love you enough to try. Yeah, but versus if I build like even in recent times, I've started building good relationships with my developers. And it's gone to an extent where if I tell them that, okay, just, give it an honest try, just see if it's doable, then they will genuinely come back to me with a solution. Okay, this is how it's doable. These are things you need to cut off. But otherwise, this portion is doable. And then we can come to a certain
Middle ground.
agreement. This is something that can be achieved and we will achieve that. But versus if you're fighting, you think that, designers and design needs to be above all, then dude, like, you're in for a reality check. So you need to take people together, you need to take stakeholders together, you need to be able to convince them, and you need to be a people's person for that to some extent. I'm not saying that be like a sales representative or someone, but you need to be a people's
I
person.
think to put it in a simpler, collaboration is as important as competence.
Yeah.
You need to be competent, but you need to be collaborative. And like you said, this is everywhere. I think we even mentioned it earlier that how important it is for, like in our earlier conversations, how important it is for you to delegate also rather than just keep building it yourself. And yeah, I think requires a lot of patience, requires a lot of hit and try also. Let's be honest, it's not, you can't change your instinctual behavior in a day. But yeah, I think one interesting aspect that you mentioned earlier, if you can highlight that as well, is beyond these 2 points for the start is key about that imposter syndrome that you were talking about.
See, what I would say is that imposter syndrome is not going anywhere. Okay, right now I'm sitting in front of this camera. I am also conscious. I'm worried about what I'm saying, and after I say something, I'm even in my head. I'm even trying to think, did I say the right thing?
You iteratively.
Am I going to sound stupid on LinkedIn? Is this going to affect my career? See, because I would also come from a place where, I have worked really hard in the initial days and even do now, and had a really steep growth curve where I've, climbed up the, corporate ladder a little quicker than what normally people would have. So I have a very strong imposter syndrome. And as a head of UX design at Yellow Slice, and it's not like, there are certain head of design that are the sole designer also in the team.
Yeah.
I do have a team. I do have like, 10, 12 designers to look after. And it's not so when they look at me and when I'm dealing with people who are older than me, I'm also sort of sometimes like, am I really fit for this? But honestly, there would be a reason. Like, there would be a reason why you are there, you are where you are. And always don't fake it to an extent where, you're just not ready to accept feedback and not ready to accept the fact that you could be wrong. Even to this date, I make sure that even if a junior designer would come up to me and tell me that, Anthony, you're probably wrong about something, I give it a good consideration. I may still go and tell them that no, I'm right, because my gut feel says that, but I will genuinely consider what they've said and try to understand if I am wrong. Your good ideas don't come from head of designer, head of UX or junior.
Yeah, it's a collaboration.
Good ideas just come. Someday somebody is just scratching his head eating a banana, and then randomly they get a good idea because they were eating a banana.
Yeah.
And that action just, created a reaction in their head. So good ideas can come from anywhere, and criticism can also come from anywhere. Your imposter syndrome needs to be hidden so that people, can take you seriously. Because if you're always like, no, I don't know, I'm very shy, I feel like, I
Wait, they may or as they say.
I may be right, I may be wrong, then people will not take you seriously because you're not coming from a. And yeah, that is another thing that I have learned is that you cannot be like, you can, I'm the lead of UX, but then I'm also not sure because I just have few years of experience. You can't do that.
Yeah, you have to be.
You have to be confident, and sometimes you have to be confident when you are not. Actually, most of the times, have to be confident when you are not. You have to fake it, but don't fake it to an extent where you're just lying and not ready to accept criticism. That's where I draw the line.
I think that sums up beautifully what you've said, is that as leaders, we need to be anxious, I would say is the right word, but we have to be anxious. We're our each decision impacts so many lives and so many stakeholders. So we need to be anxious, we need to be nervous, and at the same time we can't show that. That is very true. And I think, yeah, I think based on what I think the fact that you said, if a junior designer comes to you and you listen to that, I think you've also learned it in a way. There's always a learning curve that attached to it, of a leader not being someone who knows everything, but a leader being someone who interprets everyone's opinions, and then through their own experiential knowledge and insights and gut feelings comes to the right call.
What you were saying about knowing everything, I feel that's sort of where the imposter syndrome kicks in also, where you feel that you need to know everything.
Right.
If I have to put myself really open and out there, I would say that I really suck at theoretical knowledge, and I suck at that from my school days. And even now, when it comes to UX design, I do not know all the laws by heart, but I know how things work. I have an understanding of each and everything. If you bring it in front of me, I can explain it to you. But I will not know everything by heart. Like, I have not memorized it. And I don't want to do that. It's not how it works. Like, you, and that's where imposter syndrome kicks in, is that suddenly when somebody starts asking me theoretical questions, then I freak out and I'm like, yeah.
What is that law? What is this law? What is that principle?
Yeah, because so the people who think that, you need to know everything, those people have the most amount of imposter syndrome. And as you climb higher, you the imposter syndrome only increases.
Right.
As a junior designer, now you get that thing ki, okay, this person doesn't know, but it's okay, he's a junior designer. Now as a head of UX, if I do not know some law of that UX, that my junior designer is just going to look at me and be like, "Ki, kaise? How is this guy here?"
So yes, I think it was great chatting with you. I think what I have learned till now is how podcasting in general enables you to have a good conversation. Yeah, I mean, we started the conversation and we are looking at our phones or we are distracted, but for the sake of it, for the consciousness of it, whatever, you actually talk to a person, and then if this is a content, then let it be. But actually talking to someone in 80% or 70% more capacity than you would if I was talking to you without the cameras or without the podcasting bit. I think so. I think that is what I have been learning, and I'll probably do more podcasts because of the same. So thank you so much for joining, Anthony. It was lovely talking to you. Such refreshing insights on product, AI, leadership, and how one needs to be as a human. So it was really refreshing, and to talk to you, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
Thank you.